there's also a lot of power in defining your own definition of what it means to be successful and fulfilled as a human being. I think that's the most powerful thing you could have. Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. How is everybody doing? This is iced latte with oat milk and brown sugar cinnamon syrup, which I've never tried before. It's like really good. Okay, so today I am in New York. I've been in New York for like the past 10 days now, and I'm staying for another 10 days. This is the longest I've ever been in a foreign country. So, as I am solo traveling as I have been, that leaves a lot of time to ponder, sit and ponder, as I'm doing right now. Like, 2 of my friends are coming in 2 days, but I think this has definitely been a somewhat transformative experience. Yeah, this has been like a pretty enriching experience, to say the least, and that's just given me so much time to sit with myself and think about my relationship with myself. I think the main theme of this video is just appreciating to be in your own skin, and I'm not going to talk about appearance today. I'm literally going to talk about loving your life and yourself, and I think that goes hand in hand, because if you love yourself, you're going to love your life, and if you love your life, you're going to love yourself. But ultimately, how to cultivate that love for your own circumstances, loving your own circumstances, because I don't think that's something easy to do, especially as tired as we are to hear it. Like with social media, it is kind of difficult to like look at people's highlights and not feel like maybe you're behind or you're not doing enough, which might be the case. Like, you might need to get a grip and get a job, you know what I mean? But like, even in those circumstances when you are jobless, holeless, swagless, how to still appreciate yourself. And I'm not talking about myself though. That wasn't a description of me, bro. Like, but I'm saying, like, basically when you're down bad and you're like all the way down, when you feel like you're literally 6 foot under the soil, like, how do you still have love for yourself, and how do you still have appreciation for your circumstances, and how do you make the best out of it? So that is today's theme. And by the way, I do want to apologize for my YouTube year-long hiatus. I have gotten DMs from people who are like, girl, like, get to work. A girl messaged me, she was like, girl, lock in. And I was like, yo, I feel so called out. I probably will be vlogging some more, but it's also going to be a lot of these kinds of videos, I believe, where I get to just sit down and talk and share my thoughts, and the people who fuck with it. So let's go. Let's take another sip. All right. By the way, I am now blonde. Get on the news. Okay. So as I said, I am currently on a solo trip, and this is my first time ever taking a solo trip. I have quite literally been altering between states of pure joy, pure like, oh my God, I'm ascending to like a higher version of myself, just straight up distress and like, oh my God, I don't think I'm gonna make it through. Like, what the fuck is my life? What am I doing? What, like, 3 days ago, I was getting boba in Chinatown in Elias, and like, it was just Chinese people there, and they're like, come sit with us. I'm like, okay, I guess. So I just go there and I start sitting down with them, and this like toothless old man started talking to me. It was really hard to understand, because like, he had a thick ass accent, and also he was literally missing his teeth. So I'm like trying to decipher what this man is saying to me, and he's like, I don't know, he was telling me about his life, and he was asking me if I was married, and I was like, no. And he's like, oh, you better hurry. This is true, by the way. But in that moment, I was kind of like, girl, why are you here in this situation? But this is kind of like also the beauty of life, is like side questing. I find myself in crazy ass side quests. I have also met one of the most legendary graffiti writers out here in New York from the 90s. That is like, his tags are all over New York. Remo, if some of y'all know who this man is. Let's get back on track. So I have never spent so much time by myself, and this had led me to also question what is my own personal sense of normalcy, because I've been meeting so many people that just have a complete different value system as I do. And when I say value system, I'm not even talking about morals or like what they think is good. I'm or righteous. I'm talking about literally what matters to these people. So like, as I said, like I've been meeting some graffiti writers, some artists, some painters, some performance artists, and the shit that we value, it just is so different from people to people. And when you are like in an industry, when you start working, like it starts to feel like everybody cares about the same thing within that little bubble, and you start to believe that that bubble is the world, and that's just not the case. And that's why traveling is so important, because you always got to put stuff into perspective. I do feel like you cannot constantly put everything into perspective, otherwise you're not going to be able to care about anything, because you're always going to be like, nothing matters. Like, I'm not saying fall into that kind of like extreme sense of relativity, but just understanding that you have a right to curate, like you have a right to curate what matters to you and what doesn't, and that your own value system is for you to create is really important. And this is like especially true if you have grown up in like a stricter environment, or your parents have always imposed like ideals onto you quite strongly of like, okay, you're gonna be this, that, and the third, and like if you don't do that, you're basically a fuck up. And it's so interesting to see that depending on who you're talking to, being a fuck up or being a successful person means like two completely different things. You know what I mean? And it's like, who's right? At the end of the day, like nobody is. It is true that certain people in this world hold power and some don't. And I think to an extent, power equals freedom, so everybody's trying to have that. There's also a lot of power in defining your own definition of what it means to be successful and fulfilled as a human being. I think that's the most powerful thing you could have. Mic drop. I might end the video here, honestly, because like that was a fucking banger, and I didn't even script that part. That just came out my ass, matter of fact. So the point is, what I'm trying to say is, we all live in parallel realms, okay? We all value different things, and it is very pointless to try and fit into every single value system. I saw this video of a guy on TikTok who was talking about, he had a lot of face tattoos, and he was talking about how that kind of filtered out every person that he didn't really want to have around him, because like they would just get scared of him, or they would just misjudge him. And he was like, I don't want to be around anybody who can't get past my physical appearance. So my face tattoos have actually protected me from every environment that wasn't welcoming of my being, and that just wasn't meant for me. And I was very impressed with how much this person just put emphasis on their own preference. Like, okay, I want to have face tattoos. If the world doesn't want me to have face tattoos, and that means I don't get to have a job for it, that just means that job wasn't meant for me, and I wouldn't have thrived in that environment. And like, this is very true, you know? And it's hard to really feel that to your core, because no matter how fearless you try to be, you're always going to have those doubts of like, okay, but if I do this, like people are going to perceive me as weird, or this, that, and the third, and I'm not going to be able to fit into that box that I'm trying to fit in. And it's like, okay, but if that box is not welcoming of the most fulfilled and authentic version of yourself, that probably means that box is not meant for you, you know? Why am I dropping bars right now? Like, that's actually crazy. Who the fuck is Freud? Because I don't know him, but he could learn anything from me. Okay, let's get back to the video. It's good to have a certain like social plasticity. Like, I always want to be able, for example, to be professional at work, and like I work in production, and sometimes I have to work in fashion, and when I go to work, they ask us to wear all black. I personally, well, this is a really bad example today, but I like to wear colors, and I like to wear patterns, and I like to go a little crazy with my outfits sometimes. So like, that's not who I truly am, but also it's like, this is fine. Like, of course I'm able to adapt to a professional environment, and this is just like, for me, this is not a forever state. Like, I'm probably gonna get to a point where I get to wear whatever the fuck I want to wear at work. I mean, at least that's what I'm aiming for, type shit. But being in alignment with yourself is also really important when it comes to surrounding yourself with the right people for you. And at times I felt frustrated that the people that I thought were really cool and felt like me didn't really see that in me, and that was only because I wasn't like a more fulfilled version of myself. So like, I could understand how we kind of like made sense as friends, but like maybe they didn't. So a good example, I'm gonna try and give an example so that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Like, let's say you are an alternative goth punk, okay? but you do not present to the world as that because you are still kind of like scared to present yourself as you wish to. And so when you see the punk kids, you're like, oh, I want to hang out with these dudes, but they're like, we don't want to hang out with you because you're a normie and you don't get it, you're not a part of this lifestyle, like we don't align, and you're offended. Now, you can't take this personally because you are not where you want to be. You are not aligned with the version of yourself that is truest to you. And when you actually do start to present yourself as like a goth punk kid, these people will naturally see that, okay, you guys are kind of like in alignment, so it makes sense for you guys to be friends. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's how I felt with people who were like super extroverted and creative before I even started doing anything creative myself, because for some time, especially when I was in high school, I kind of stopped doing anything creative aside from like drawing in a notebook that I wouldn't show anybody because I was like, this is my bullet journal and this is secret, because I was scared. And and it took a long time for me to also start moving through fear and going out and meeting people who were extroverted and becoming extroverted myself, and then we just kind of naturally aligned, and that's how we became friends. And I could see for myself that there's so many steps that I still need to take to become a more actualized version of myself, which makes sense to my inner core, if that makes sense. Right. So whenever you see people that you admire or that you naturally feel drawn to, try to understand what it is about them that you are drawn to. And that's probably just something you wish you had for yourself, whether that's like creativity or the fact that they're confident, or that they're extroverted, or that they're doing this, that, and the third. Like they might be doing, I don't know, they're doing music, you want to do music, so you want to befriend people who do music. And it's like, that's not, you need to make music yourself first in order for it to work and kind of like attract each other. And you can't take personally the fact that they might not see why it makes sense for them to be friends with you if you are not aligned with yourself. I've been talking so much, I really need a sip. This is what I wrote, and this is a little harsh. Hanging out with cool people doesn't make you cool. If you're not doing the thing, you're still not doing a thing. Rather than spending time pursuing interesting people, become the interesting person. Networking with nothing to offer is pointless. Work from the inside to be someone worthy of your own interest, okay? If you look up to certain people so much, ask yourself what it is about them you envy so much. The same patterns will come up in romantic relationships. You might date someone you want to be, or someone who has something you wish for. And this is why we always say, love yourself first. Because, and I used to think that sentence was like corny as fuck because I didn't really understand it. If you lack self-love and you get into a relationship with somebody that you look up to, you are gonna lose yourself in that relationship because they're gonna become your everything. They're gonna become the center of your life. You're not doing anything. You're like a floating leaf. You don't want to do that. That's not healthy. What happens when this person leaves you? What are you doing? What's your life? What is your interest? Like, you know what I mean? Can't be doing that. And that's why I think it's really important to have like a strong sense of self and a solid self-esteem and solid self-appreciation before you can get into anything that's like serious and long-lasting. That's my personal opinion and personal experience. Like, some people have grown with a partner, but I think it is important to have a certain baseline of like, okay, I know who I am and I'm going to be fine without anybody, because I actually appreciate myself in my own company, period. And the third part of this video is called having the courage to explore. This is what I wrote. When you're in a phase of your life where you are exploring, it might seem like you're not doing anything productive, but I feel like that might be when you do the most important work. So I'm going to give you guys two real life examples of my friend and I. My friend started working in PR. She was working for a company, for an agency in Japan, which was like pretty big. She's getting all the jobs, looked really good on paper. She's working on runways, whole time she's like literally burnt out. She cannot take it anymore. So she finally quits and she goes freelance, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. And now she has so much free time and she's kind of like freaking out because she's like, what do I do with my life? What do I do with myself? This is really important time. Now, of course, on paper, what do you look like? Jobless? You quit a good job? What the fuck are you doing? No, you are choosing to honor your own value system and your own happiness and fulfillment. You're actually doing amazing. Same thing happened to me when I was in Japan. Before I left Japan and I moved back to France, I got offered a production position, like a junior producer position within a production company in Tokyo. That means having a stable job, having a stable source of income. Again, it looks good on paper. It's like, oh, you work in film, you work in a production company, like, oh, that's amazing. You're a producer, great. But I know I don't want to work an office job. I've never wanted to work an office job. So I was like, so I considered it for like a day. And then I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. And if I listen to myself and I value my own opinion, like, this is not what I want to do. Now, if I lived for other people's perception of me, I probably would have taken that job, and by now I would be a producer. And I don't know, my social status would be higher than just me working freelance and working a bunch of different jobs. But that's not what I want to do in my life, though. You feel me? So exploring and quitting a job, or having a time in your life where you're jobless, or you're going back to school and now you're moving and then you're traveling, you might look a fool to people. You might look a fool, especially the older you get. People are like, really want you to like figure it out. They're like,
oh my god, you haven't gotten figured out by now? Like, what are you doing?
okay, so my camera died, so I am now filming on photo booth, and I hope you guys don't mind. We're almost done with the video, so let's get to it. Shall we take another sip? Yup. Okay, so I was saying, a freeing thought is ultimately nobody gives that much of a fuck about your life. Aside from maybe your parents, but sometimes you gotta show your parents a different way to perceive the world, because they also have their own limiting beliefs, and they are just people like you and I. In the pursuit of your own authentic self and self-fulfillment, you need to have a lot of courage, because nobody's gonna reassure you. Nobody's gonna hold your hand and be like, yeah, you should do that thing that you really want to do that nobody gives a fuck about. You have to do it yourself, right? And that's why it's really important to like constantly rewire your brain, especially if you have grown up with a lot of limiting beliefs, because that shit will affect your whole life. Okay, your belief system and how you perceive yourself trickles down into every area of your life, whether that be your love life, your friendships, your relationships with like literally anybody, and your work life and your career and your aspirations and your ambitions and what you set yourself up to. And so it's constant. It's a constant exercise. And okay, at some point when I was like 21, I was going to therapy, and one of the things my therapist had said was like, you literally see the glass half empty under all circumstances. Like, it doesn't make sense. And she was like, you need to rewire your brain to actually see the good in your life and be grateful for it, because this is all a matter of perception. Like, if you actually look at your life right now, a matter of perspective. She's like, if you objectively look at your life right now, it is pretty good. You're just making it hell for yourself in your own head, because we live in our heads, right? We live in our minds. So she gave me this exercise where I had to write on a little notebook every single morning and every single night 3 things that I was grateful for and excited about or happy about, to start seeing the glass half full. And again, these are all exercises that when I had to first do, like, I was very skeptical and I was like, this is corny, like, I don't want to do this. But it's really important, and I understand this the more I also get to meet people who are rich or who seem set in life on paper. When you actually look at their daily life, like the reality of their mental health, it's a shithole. So it's really important to understand that like 80% of your life happens in your head. If you don't make that space a nice environment to live in, you're gonna not have a good time. You're just not gonna have a good time. So this is what I wrote. You need to curate your own mind, rewire your own brain. That's your responsibility. We all come from different backgrounds. Some of us were fed so much insecurity from a young age, but it's your job to transition into a courageous mindset. The more you grow into adulthood, the more challenging it gets to explore. Because, as I said earlier, everybody wants you to have it figured out by now. But that doesn't make sense, because life is genuinely, it's not like you're going to get to from point A to point B and now you're set, life is over. Life is like literally happening every single day, as corny as that may sound. So you're never, sorry, I can't stop looking at my highlights. Okay, and this is also something I wrote, is to explore without a desire to destroy, accept and reconcile your past self with your present self. Meaning, allow yourself to explore other areas of your life and your taste, and you shouldn't do that while hating on the person that you used to be or the person that you currently are. Always do it from a place of love, because the person that you were yesterday, she is still a part of you, and that's not something to be mad about. It's still you. You're all these layers. You know what I mean? Actually, I saw an artwork in a gallery like 2 days ago when I was in the West Village that I think illustrates what I just said really perfectly. I'm gonna put the video clip right here. And yeah, it's better to do it now, however old you are, than to literally crash out later in life, because you've just realized, okay, you have actually never lived a life that made sense for you. And it's important to find beauty in the struggle of figuring it out, in that effort, in the hustle, in the chaos, and to love yourself enough to cherish your personal journey, meaning you don't need to compare that journey to anyone else's, meaning you love your own circumstances. So for example, if you come from a modest background, or you're not a nepo baby in whatever industry you want to work in, and it's harder for you to get to places than other people who have more advantages, like, learn to love those circumstances and be like, yeah, but this is my story. When I do make it to the other side, it's going to be 10 times as more powerful, because I come from this point and I got to that point. You know what I mean? So you should never want to be somebody else. It's like J. Cole said, no such thing as a life that's better than yours. And I feel that deep in my heart. You know, there are times where I'm like, damn, I wish I would have been tall and skinny and I could have been a model and just make money off my looks. Girl, I love being short. This is me. Like, you know what I mean? This is my circumstances. These are my circumstances. This is my body. Like, and I love it. Like, and genuinely, it's important to feel that, because otherwise you are not gonna have a good time, as I said earlier. Okay, so the conclusion of this video is that you should look for value and worth within yourself, and that you should always consider that people genuinely liking you is very lucky and is going to be very rare, and it's not the standard. So the standard, in fact, is probably people not really fucking with you like that, being indifferent to you, because we're 8 billion people. How many people on earth learn a new thing every day? 8.3 billion people in 2026. See? So of course, a majority of these people are not, first of all, they're not even going to know you. And then the people that you do meet, they're going to be like indifferent to you. So just get used to the standard being like, people not really giving a fuck like that. And then if somebody happens to like you for who you are, that's extremely lucky and beautiful. But that is not the standard. And don't seek that in everybody that you meet, because you're going to lose yourself trying to please, like, oh, this person, and this person and this person don't even value the same thing. So you can't spread yourself thin trying to be all over the place. You know what I mean? You're going to go crazy. So allow yourself to rid yourself of all these people-pleasing tendencies and just be true to yourself. And what does that mean when you don't know who you are? It means exploring, having the courage to be like, I haven't got it figured out by now.
What the fuck you gonna do about it? Like, I think as long as you got a roof over your head and you're making a certain amount of money, yet you're sustaining yourself, like, literally, people can't say shit to you. Like, I'm sorry that I haven't got it figured out by the time I'm, like, this age. Like, how does that affect you personally? Like, it doesn't. So leave me the fuck alone.
The fuck? And yeah, I think if you look at yourself and your life as something that's a little bit more ironic and not something that's like so serious, like, oh my god, like me doing YouTube at the age of 23, to some people probably be like, what the fuck? Girl, like, you should be at the office working. Like, what are you doing? But I don't really give a fuck, because like, this is me exploring another hobby of mine that I've been doing for literally I've been filming and talking to a camera my entire life. Whether or not this channel like gets me money in the future, it doesn't really matter. This is just like me being brave enough to explore something I'm interested in, and that alone makes me feel respect towards myself, because I'm like, yeah, she really is that bitch who will just do whatever she wants to do. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I feel like I got a little excited mid-video because it's kind of a topic that I get passionate about. I haven't talked this much in so long. What the fuck? It was a little chaotic and a little messy. I try to make it more concise and organized next time, if there is a next time. And I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Bisous.